Our second scrimmage out and finishing our third week. It's guys are making progress. Some of the young guys are really starting to fit in and feel comfortable in some of the things they're doing, and we keep adding things to them, but they're learning very quickly. Been very pleased, like I said, all the new guys, and if you were nicked and knacked here and there and don't get quite all the rest but are getting back into it, have really, progressed during this spring very nicely. You're starting to see their abilities, and they're starting to understand what they're doing so they can really start to showcase their athletic ability as far as knowing how to play fast and things. And, very pleased with those guys, making a lot of progress. And our veterans are getting better. Second scrimmage was no better as far as I think execution of pre-snap organization, structure, getting the line of scrimmages on both sides, getting your checks on defense, getting your alignments off your formations. The pre-snap penalties, things like that, I was very pleased with from an execution standpoint. Still always trying to play penalty-free, but had a few here and there. Some of the young guys in some situations, but the young guys made some big plays, running with the football, catching the football. Quarterbacks, I thought, made a lot of progress in how we did things protection-wise. Defense got some pressures, but at the same time, I thought the offense picked it up and protected a lot better in the second one than they did in the first one, which was typical. Guys getting used to working together. At times, defense was physical at times. Offense ran the ball well at times. A lot of situations in which we worked and where we were at. So, making progress. We're still a long way off, and a big progress in work, in my opinion, but very excited about what the potential can be. But, like I say, potential is something we got to clean up. But the attitude's good, the work ethic's good, the physicality is good. Just got to be a little cleaner and sharper in our executions and what we're doing and our techniques, and being a lot more aware of minor details. That's what's going to really separate, which it always does in the good football teams, of making a good play to a great play, or giving something up just a hair and really could have been a really big play on defense, or things like that. So, I think both sides really need to become detail-oriented this week as we finish up this last week, get ready for spring game.
Go ahead. Fire them away. Old school.
Jimbo, last couple seasons we've had some real star work at linebacker, Buddy Johnson,
And they were all roles, and I say this, they were guys who turned themselves into that weren't in those roles before they became in those roles. I think during this time they grew, and I'll say that in their, and really became guys who were impact guys. And we had a lot of the same concerns which we have now about, because you lose guys that make that role. But go ahead.
So who are the guys that are growing that you?
I think Andre White is growing really well. I think he's playing with a lot more consistency, physicality. I think he's had his best spring by far. I think Coop is doing a really nice job fitting things, doing things, being athletic, and then continuing as he continues to do that, because he can play in space, he can run, he can do a lot of great things. Chris Russell getting better, Terry and Lee getting better in what he does, and Ish Harris is a young guy who flashes and really starting to come on and pick things up. So that's the main guys that are working in that group right now.
So recruiting defensive line has been a strength around here for a while, but it's been taken to a whole another level. What would you attribute that to overall on the recruiting front and getting so many quality?
Focus. Well, I believe it. Line of scrimmage is where you win. Guys that put their hand in there on defense. While we focus that, even though, as I say as an offensive coach, it's my belief as a head football coach. You got to have guys that put their hand in the dirt. We did it at Florida State. We did it at LSU. The great teams we had at LSU, those defensive lines were phenomenal. Those defensive lines at Florida State were phenomenal, and an emphasis on it. And I think our guys have done it. I think Elijah's done a great job of that. TP's done a great job of that, and we focused on it as a staff to do it. And it's a combination of everything, and guys are recruiting their tails off and want to come here. And I believe that. Listen, when those guys up front can control, it's a lot easier to play the game. And that's a belief of mine as a head football coach, and it goes to the offensive line too. So we're trying to emphasize those groups.
So it's a good problem to have, but what do you do with all those guys?
Rotate them and play them. You know how many times they got to play and go? You keep rotations, you keep them healthy, you keep things going. You got plenty of it. You're playing 4 at a time. You're keeping in rotations. You're getting going. A guy gets nicked up here and there. He misses somewhere. You're going to need those guys, and how you practice, how you get better, and you play them. And that's what we've always done everywhere I've ever been. You go back. This is no different the way we were at LSU back in the day. We were winning great teams in the early 2000s all the way up through with Dorsey and Lavallee and Spears and Marquise Hill. And you go down the line of Claude Roten. You go down the line of those guys. They were dominant teams and dominant people up there. Tons of them. And Eddie Goldman and Mario Edwards and Timmy Jernigan and all the guys we had at Florida State. You can go up and down the lines on those. You got to have those guys. So we'll keep getting them and playing them.
Jimbo, when you look at having the body back this year, and when you also look at some of the cornerbacks that kind of had a lot of playing experience last year, Deuce kind of stepping in, Tyree, how beneficial is that for DJ to be able to have these kind of hardened secondary players in place that helps him kind of train?
Well, I think it's good now. Some of those guys are out with injuries, not practicing in the spring, which you wish for a new scheme or parts of a new scheme that you would have. I mean, it's not totally a new scheme, but it's parts of a new scheme. So I wish you wish you had them in there, but it gives guys that you've seen what they do in front of 100,000 people. I mean, they can do it out here in front of practice and all that, but they've had game experience. They play when the lights on the scoreboard mean something, and that experience is nothing like it. So it is a good advantage.
Jimbo, can I ask you specifically about Evan Stewart, and what is it, first of all, the first impressions of him, and then what has he showed you this spring?
First of all, tremendous human being, tremendous attitude, great work ethic, a desire to be great, an urgency to be great, and has excellent athleticism, and works in hands and drives the game, and a very intelligent human being. I mean, he works, he gets coached, he plays hard, and he makes mistakes. I mean, it's like any freshman, and he'll do it. But yes, sir, takes his coaching, moves on, goes to the next play, can run, can great with the ball in his hand, can get the deep ball, can do all the things you got to do. But it's got me the most is his ability to be coached, but also his high character, but his ability to have an urgency to be great quickly and not wait and push but also be a huge team guy, being a very good team guy.
Jimbo, when have you added, when have you
1 year on each?
A five-star defensive lineman this late in the class in the past?
It wasn't. It was just early.
Correct?
It was just early.
It's really early.
No, it was early because we were recruiting for the year before.
Right. That's what
And they reclassified. I mean, that was them who academic. You take them either way, but I mean, you were recruiting for the next year, and we were on him very hard. And they said, when they said there's a possibility, they said, okay, let us know, because I've heard that before. I mean, a whole year, man. Half a year we've seen. A whole year. Whew, I'll tell you what, I'm glad I wasn't 16 doing all that. I mean, that's a lot of, and he's a tremendous student. It's a heck of an accomplishment. But never like that. We never had it because never had a guy come out that early, but never had him do the academics a full year early. You know what I'm saying? So it's tremendous. We were really recruiting for the next year, and we'd been on him. It just happened that that's what they elected to do.
And then specifically to his skills, what he brings to y'all.
Size, speed, athleticism, knowledge, complete he's a tremendous basketball player. So you're getting a great guy with size and twitch, which is power, speed, agility, great flexibility, intelligent, competitive, tough. I mean, he's got all the tools. He's got all the tools.
Jimbo, you got a lot of full linemen returning that started games last year,
Mm-hmm.
but of those that maybe haven't, who are some of the guys that are making some real progress?
That's a great point. Moko. I think Moko's doing a really good job. I think Wyckoff is. I think Strickland is. And I think Trey Zune's having a heck of a spring. I think Trey Zune is. I know Trey would have had a chance to help us last year a little bit, but he had that knee injury, unfortunately, when he's training in the off season. It's a freak thing. I think he's been excellent. And, I think he's really developed out. I think Moko's making a lot of progress, in my opinion. Unfortunately, Aki had that foot thing. It's not letting him in there. That's a shame. He couldn't get in there and do that. But, Trainer and them all started last year, Traden and Layden, and, of course, Foster's not in there. But I think the two centers, Wyckoff and Strickland, are getting better and better, and that really helps. I mean, you wish you had Foster there for now, selfishly, but at the same time, allowing Wyckoff and Strickland to get all those quality reps and go with the ones and do that and handle that, it's been a really good thing.
Where did we have?
Luke is done. He's medical, yes. He can't play.
You spoke about performing in front of crowds in front of Kyle Field. So is that, obviously that's something that you keep in mind for this coming weekend, but as far as the young guys, what are you looking to see from them in front of an actual crowd?
Same thing. Can they go out there and keep their poise, get the play call, get the check, get the alignment, get the assignment, understand their techniques, not have pre-snap penalties, and function within the organization or the offense or defensive call that was made, and then perform, and then like I say, produce and finalize on the plays or tackles or whatever they got to do.
You enjoy spring games?
I do. I mean, I think it's fun. I think it's a great combination for the family and friends and family to come see the kids, and it's a game that A&M wins no matter what. So it's you get a lot of work done. I mean, in your practices, and you can put guys in situations and try to do stuff within the game to see, how they would act in front of a crowd, and before, in a big role in a big situation, and it's good. It really is. And it's great for the fans. I mean, I think the families and the fans and them to get to come here and really enjoy and not have the stress, do you win or lose?
kind of focusing in on Connor, you said that he was the best quarterback in the class last year. When you look at where he's progressed this far coming out of high school, what's been the biggest thing you've noticed about him?
Maturity, doesn't get overwhelmed by the moment. Very, very quick learner, very instinctive.
Is that how you feel about tight end?
Good. I mean, Jake has been nicked up. Hopefully we'll get him back this week. He had a week and a half of really good practice, the young guy for him. But then Max has been very consistent. Had a really good spring, catching the ball better, blocking well. Garza is another young guy that's moving on. Blake Smith has really I thought he had a nice scrimmage the other day. Got to continue some things. He's got to get better in the blocking world and some of those things. But I thought he had a nice scrimmage, executing some things in that regard. So those guys they're getting better and better. I hope so. He's a tremendous young man. I really do. I hope he gets in that and does well. But he's a tremendous human being with a lot of ability and a great young man.
Quarterback battle seems like a good one. Do you see it stretching on into the summer? Or?
Oh, yeah. I don't think there's any doubt. I mean, we'll see how it goes. And like I say, you know when you know, but I think all three guys have had their moments, and they've all played well. And I've been very pleased with Haynes. Haynes, I thought, really last scrimmage did some really good things. And plus his legs, I thought Max was excellent. He was really sharp, making throws, making deep ball throws, and getting the ball out, and also moving well. And I thought, again, Connor was excellent. I mean, creating plays with his legs, with his arm, with his intensity, quick release. But they're all starting to see things now the best way. So I think all have progressed really well.
Jimbo, kind of going off that, the quarterback battle theme, how big is the spring game for those three guys to, I don't know, just...
I think it's one of the next steps. People in the stands, things go on. Coaches aren't out there holding your hand. Can you manage? Can you run? Can you function? Can you do all the things you got to do? So, in that regard, I think it's not a huge. I may say a very big step, but it is. It's the next step in the progression of where you're going and what you're doing, and how the team reacts to you. I think it's a big thing.
I know a lot of other programs talk about on campus when the football team does well, it can spark recruiting, spark motivation within that. When y'all see like the basketball team making the run that they were to, does that spark excitement, recruiting, excitement?
Anything positive does, and then I think, and like I say, sports and athletics is it's an out front thing that people want to see. It's one of the front. I mean, the whole sports program is the front porch of your university. That's the things a lot of people probably they talk about the most. Whether it's fortunate or unfortunate, but there's so many things. But how you do when you do well, people want to be a part of successes, and they want to. And there's a reason that things are going well. And I mean that goes not only from the players and the coaches, but from the administration, from support, knowing and doing the things they do, and how important that is to university. And I think it's big, and it does nothing but help. That's for sure. And they had a great year. Congratulations to them.
Jimbo, when you kind of look at the safety position as a whole, you have a guy like Antonio who can play and they both can play in the back end, but Jordan Gilbert's another one that you've been really high on through the beginning of spring camp. What do you see from him and his ability?
I mean, had a solid scrimmage the other day, had a really good practice yesterday, made some really good plays. A couple of little things that were off in the scrimmage, just a hair that he really corrected and coached. Jordan is a very, very intelligent guy. He's athletic. He's very conscientious. Nobody works harder at what he's doing and is progressing very nice and can be a really nice player for us. He's got great quickness, acceleration, good size, and can be a really good player.
When you decide ultimately, or coaches decide ultimately where Antonio Johnson's going to play, is it going to be more about what he does or what other guys are doing? Like,
yes.
So
yeah, I mean, and I say that, yeah. I mean, there's going to be after times where the matchup is, all right, that's where he's got to go, or Damani's got to go. And I think it's not just Antonio. I think it's other guys too, but also how it fits within the scheme of what you have and what you don't have. You know what I mean? And what makes you the best 11 people on the field so your team can have success, because it's still a team game. I know in our world today we don't think a team. Everything's I.
Correct me if I'm wrong on this, but because you guys have been so successful through high school prospects, it feels to me like you guys have been pretty selective about who you bring in from the portal. How would you describe your approach when it comes to bringing guys in terms of how many of those guys you want out of there on your roster?
I don't have anything. You know, it's just the way it's fallen the last couple of years that it's been with the high school guys and we've recruited so well. But I'm not against if we have to go get 2, 3, 4 guys to be able to do that, or 5 guys or whatever it is. You know, I think each year and each situation is different, and I think that's going to be determined because you could have guys leave, you could have guys stay. I mean, for a coach to answer that question now, I think it's there's not an answer. I think each year and each situation is going to be different based on what happens within your own team, organization, and what happens out there and where your team is going, man. And like I say, there may be a need one year to have 2, 3, or 4 or 5 guys. I don't know, but hopefully our guys will keep developing, and we don't have to go as that far. But I'm not against that in any way, shape, or form. It just the dynamic that's happened in the last couple of years.
So plenty of teams in the past year have signed the #1 class. And now you've been around here for a while now. Why does it seem like Texas A&M is almost treated like a villain with its #1 class?
I'd ask somebody else.
From other coaches, from fan bases, and so forth.
Oh, I don't know. They guess they haven't done it as much. Just have to get used to it. Just have to keep doing it. Have to keep recruiting. But it ain't like we've been the top 5 or 6 every year, 4, 5, or 6 every year. And then whatever they feel and say. I don't worry about somebody else unless they. And like I said before, all the things that went on had nothing to do with NIL, had nothing to do with all the other, and because that's what they were accusing us of. And I think NIL and transfer portal is truly affecting college football. But that wasn't the case with us. That's why I said what I said on the other. So I don't know. You have to ask them more so than you have to ask me. Well, hopefully we'll keep doing it and making them all mad.
Do you tell your guys and your staff to embrace it?
I don't worry about it. I don't even think about it. Okay. Who cares? The only reason I said it, the only thing I ever said before was because it was directly pointed at us. Had nothing to do with it. Do I think NIL is an issue out there? Yes. Do I think transfer portal is an issue out there? Yes. And how it goes on and what the regulations, there's no doubt. But those were pointed figures right at us is why I made those statements, because that's unfair to the kids who got recruited. That's unfair to their families, and that's unfair to the staff that recruited them. And that's what and unfair to Texas A&M. That's the only reason I brought that up.
But it still is, like with the addition of overtime, it comes all back up again.
I don't have social media, so it comes up to you. I don't hear that. I'm not. Huh? I got one thing. Where's my phone? I don't have my phone. I got one news app that'll have, like if it's world news, that I board, I hit that. I can hit that and say, okay, there's something like what was going on in the world. Other than that, I don't. So it's up again. It's a bad thing or a good thing? Well, here's the other thing. We've been in the middle of it. The young man was born here. The guy was born in College Station. Grew up watching games, going to this. He was a huge Florida State fan. He came to my camp when he was 10, 11 years old, 12 years old. People didn't know that. I mean, and was in the high school camp. I mean, back then. So, I mean, I've known his dad. Family worked here. His dad was an AD at A&M, Florida A&M, or assistant AD at Florida A&M. And brought him to camp. I've known the family forever and ever and ever. So, and we're doing real good. So.
See, those are the stories we need to back up.
Yeah, so whatever.
On the recruiting topic, not related to that, though, you've had a few people in the recruiting personal department take them around to Marshall. Curious how that impacts that department and also what the importance of that department has been.
Recruiting's always good. It's the organizational thing. We're still making decisions. We're still finding them. We're still doing it. But you got to have guys organized, and they've done people in that organization. A lot of other people do a great job when they get on campus with the unofficial and official visits. They've done great, and we filled those positions. And and I'm more power to those guys. We do well. Everybody gets opportunity. It's like when you do well and things happen, guys get opportunities. And we've got other folks coming in, and we think we'll keep things rolling just the same.
Kind of focusing back on the tight end position, you have a lot of different type of players that fit different roles. Just when you have that versatility factor to it, does that allow you to kind of engage and enhance your offensive personnel a little bit? Well, just by game plans, give you different people and different game plans and different things you can utilize and give them playing time. Plus, be diverse for the opponent and never knowing what you have to prepare for in a game plan.
I know you knew it was coming, but how difficult is it to hold spring camp without your top running back and your starting?
No, I've done it before. I've done it with different guys. Some guys have practice, some guys don't. I've done it at different places. We did it the year Jameis won it. He was there he was in practice almost all the time or not. He had a lot of baseball stuff too. He won the job and he won the job that year. So, it's something you're used to when you have two sport guys. So you love to have them, but understand they're both doing extremely well. If I'm not mistaken, I think Chain's got the fastest 200 time in the country at 20.2. He ran 10 flat over there. It was wind aided, I think, at Texas Relays or something. It was 10-1 something. And I think Foster Stone he won the Texas Relays, if I'm not mistaken. And I think he won this past weekend here. But I think he's still been throwing really well. So I am happy for those guys.
Why have you always been supportive of two sports?
Maybe it's because I was. I played all the sports growing up. And why do you want to punish somebody for being good at two things? That's selfish on our part. We should be able to work it out, figure it out for the best development of that young man, and I think that's don't not be selfish in that regard. He's going to be good. I mean, there's ways, and you do sacrifice a little bit as far as some development, but the overall, it's about the kids, and they're good at 2 sports. So that's not their fault. Why don't they get to go do it? I mean, that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, on Ananias, a couple years ago, he carried the ball a decent amount. Last year, a lot less. With Isaiah gone, obviously you start being pitching, and you got some other guys, but do you foresee him carrying the ball a bit more this year?
Yeah, he's going to get his touches. We're going to find zero his touches. I know he's a little guy, but that ball ain't heavy. No, he's standing back there is why I just said that. I saw him walk in. But no, we'll move him around. We'll utilize him, and I think for matchup purposes and get him there, and I think you're going to need to. I mean, a chain's there, he's there. You can get him the ball in the slot, put him at wide out, and put him in the backfield. You can motion him, you can do different things in what you do, and I think it only helps us, and your best players got to touch the ball as much as they can, and we want to do that.
Just real fast, is there anybody that's been on the injured list that potentially could be playing in Saturday's game, or people who are practicing right now that are playing?
No, I mean, AJ's been nicked up. Chappelle's been nicked up a little bit. Some of them other guys should be back. I said Trainer was nicked up last week. I think we'll get him back this week. I don't think anybody else is. I mean, most everybody else is getting back in for the most part. I mean, should be okay. And don't hold me to that. I'm trying to think off the top. I wish I had the injury report in front of me. I know it, Jordan, but I think we ought to be good, about normal.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.